Okay.
Welcome to another episode of LRJ Podcast and Chill. Today, we're very delighted to have Erica joining us and share with us some of her as a perspective as a local Hong Konger. I think you're born and raised in Hong Kong, Erica, and
She's already
obviously
laughing.
is our great friend here. So very delighted to have you. So, John, what's our topic today?
So our topic today is the SCMP article about marriage and people having babies and how that has been on a decline recently in Hong Kong.
Mhm.
So just a little recap for those of you who haven't read the article. So pretty much the article goes on to talk about there's like a decrease of people getting married, fewer people getting babies, and they listed a couple of reasons why that they don't want to have babies. So, or babies or get married, mainly because they don't trust the education system, they don't like it, and the other reasons the national security law. So that
Mhm.
was another reason because they don't see like there's a good future in Hong Kong. There's no way out.
Mhm.
And also the other reason that they mentioned was COVID-19, which interesting point. And then they bring up a story about a local Hong Konger
Mhm.
named Daniel
Wang.
Daniel
Wang.
Wang. Yeah, he's 29 years old. Worked in the media or was it? He's the editor at a
Mhm.
media organization. Worked there for 6 years, making well actually less than 20K Hong Kong
Mhm.
dollars a month. So then he feels that the income isn't enough for him to have a wife or even just have a family or even just buy a home in Hong Kong. So yeah, leaving a lot of these kind of people feeling a little bit depressed in Hong Kong because they can't either start a family, have a wife, or buy a home. So
Mhm.
that's probably why. Well, that's yes, an anecdote or a story about why people are having fewer marriages or fewer babies. So what do you guys think about that?
So in the article, right, he mentioned that these are luxurious things that I can't afford. I think being single is acceptable. There will be less drama in my life, and I get to spend what little saving I have on myself and my parents. Right. So I guess maybe first let's ask our guest speaker, Erica. Right. So Erica, right? I mean,
Hi.
say say if you're obviously looking for a potential date, right?
A partner,
um
let's
or
say.
partner, yeah, that
Yeah.
obviously start off, start a family with.
Like
So
a
so a
lifelong
Daniel
partner, right?
Wang, sorry.
A lifelong partner, like a
Yeah, lifelong
serious
partner, a
one. one.
serious
Okay.
relationship. Yeah.
No
Mm-hmm.
So you
hookup
met
here.
this handsome Daniel Wang, 29 years old, making 20K per month.
Less than 20K.
Less than
Less than
20K.
20K.
Less than
Yeah.
20K per month. Let's say 20K. Let's put it 20K. Okay.
Make it easy.
Is that an instant bye bye? 有冇機會
What
Erica? Any
what
chance? Any chance
age?
you give him?
How old is he?
29 years old.
廿九歲啊。
29.
So there is
Mm,
some potential. I mean, look, you never know. Like this Daniel guy, 23, 24, might be making, 21, 2K. I don't know. Might slip. What is it,
I
Erica?
I don't want to make it sound like 100% bye bye, but
不過都
like
95啦 right?
95%.
But no, I just as
it's
a
a point that you have to think very seriously.
Mm.
It's not a definite no, but I guess it depends on what you're looking for. If just for two people, just you and him, then maybe it could work. Because if like maybe I earn a lot and then he's earning only 20K, then we can still have a decent or okay life in the future. But if you want to have kids, then it's another problem we have to think about.
Do you mind, in general, Erica, do you mind that the guy makes less than you?
Yeah, I was gonna ask that too.
In general, I don't mind.
Right.
But yeah, I guess you have to see the whole thing like for a big picture.
What do you mean by big
Uh,
picture?
Like the lifestyle you guys want.
Hmm.
Like I said, if you want kids or anything.
Mm.
I actually think 20K is about the average that people earn in Hong Kong.
Mhm.
Is
Yeah,
it
so I did
actually?
a research,
Hmm.
this, census and statistic under the Hong Kong government department, right? How average household income for a 3-person family is around 30-ish K.
Yeah, it's the
So-
household though. I mean, if
The
it's like
household, yeah.
individuals like 14 around there,
Yeah.
14, 15.
So if you
14?
divide that, yeah, it's
Or
around, it's
fresh. Oh,
around
sorry.
Erica's
Sorry,
like, what?
I think I was
You know
I think
math?
fresh grads. Yeah, fresh grads. I think.
Yeah, that's how much
100%.
fresh grads make. How can that
Mhm.
be? Yeah, average for 3 people.
I mean, if you see the statistic like John just mentioned, if the average is like 14 to 15K, and a lot of people are still dating, they have a partner, so it means that actually dating is still possible, right?
dating is possible. But what about marriage?
Starting a family.
Mm, seriously, if only 14 to 15K, I don't think is enough to raise kids.
Wait, so actually, I mean, I don't know like the school system in Hong Kong. So say if you go to like a local public school, like
Mm-hmm. Free
is it
free?
yeah, is it
education.
free? So,
Hmm.
Yes, free.
but
Yeah,
then
free.
that's a place that you guys wouldn't want to put your kids through, right?
Yeah, they wouldn't.
They wouldn't, or
Mm.
you? What do you mean
In
they?
general,
Yeah.
I don't think they would
How
want.
bad? But then how bad is it though?
I mean, for me, because I work with kids, right? So I've taught kids from public schools, government funded, or like private schools, and there's a big difference in what they learn. So
Oh.
same age, but they
Mhm.
come out like you can tell one is way stronger.
Hmm.
So yeah, it depends, right? Like what you want for your kids.
So how much would be? Oh, how about like an average price of like average tuition of like a school then? I guess like
Like
average
a
school.
private school?
Well, because if you want to raise a kid, right? Like how much money would you have to spend, do you think, for education? As like I guess an average
Average.
person in
It
Hong
depends
Kong.
on the school. I mean, and then in Hong Kong, you have to pay for all like uniform,
Textbook.
books,
Mhm.
miscellaneous items. Like I don't know, like I'm looking at like 8,000 a month or something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like over half the guy's salary.
Yeah. So if you want like if you want 2 kids, bye-bye.
But I guess, a question to you, Erica, is, for
Mhm.
someone like Daniel, who kind of, I guess SCMP put Daniel as in this article, right? For him to
Mhm.
kind of go so pretty certain in the statement saying that, oh, he's not looking for marriage. He's not even thinking about marriage, right? He's rather be single because he worked very long hours in a media company. What do you think? Is that a trend, would you say, in Hong Kong that you see from your perspective that's happening? And it's to a point where people don't even want to date because they don't even have the time to date. They're so tired, not even from a money standpoint, it's from a stamina, right? They don't even have the stamina for it.
From my observation, I guess people get tired of dating. It's true, but there could be a lot of reasons. For example, they like not having enough time, they have to OT or stuff is one. No money could be another, but I guess it's just the lifestyle that make people more hard to find a partner.
In Hong Kong.
It's like no time,
Yeah.
right?
No time is a big issue because like many of the people I know, they have to OT, so they work very long hours per day. And maybe also I think COVID could also be a problem because all the social gatherings and parties have been like
Yeah.
cut down, so they have less
Harder
chance to
to
meet
meet
new
people.
people. Yes.
Apart from COVID, right? I mean, let's take out the COVID year, right? In general, the marriage rate goes down
Mhm.
and higher divorce rate. Is it because of these long hours in Hong Kong and also the amount of money they make that's kind of suggesting people should either not think about marriage if they don't make any money, not make enough money, and only those who make enough money should go to the next step? Is that kind of the trend that you see? Because obviously those who've been single for a long time might actually just be single for a good 10 15 years because they just feel like,
Whoa.
what's is
That's a
it? I don't
long
know. It's a
time.
question. I mean,
10,
look,
15 years?
No, what I'm saying is based on based on the article, right? So, for example, Daniel's case, right? It seems like he's not even thinking about getting married or even finding a long-term relationship because he feels like even he does find someone who is willing to, say live the same lifestyle as he is, right? It's just no way that he can see himself sustain in this marathon, right? In this relationship marathon because the time and effort, the money you have to invest, and then he factor in the family part too, right? He said I guess he need to kind of support his family in a way as well, right? In general, what do you guys have to say about this? Is it no money, no love in Hong Kong?
Well, I mean, just hard to survive in Hong Kong with no money, right? I think that's one thing. So I guess it kind of makes you think like how much money do you need in order to feel that you can have a wife or have a husband, have kids, have a home. So I guess like yeah, like what? Yeah, because I'm just like wondering like what that number would be. You think would be like what 40, 50K like per
Like
person?
per household or per person?
Let's say, I mean, let's say, yeah, if you have a
Let's say
partner, yeah,
yeah,
because you have a
partner.
partner and then just both you guys. So I guess say household then.
So the total monthly income for a family to make.
Because I remember we talked about this before, right? You said even with like 100K for like a household, they still might not have like a really good life for the kids, right?
Yeah, kids are expensive. I mean, like even just giving birth in Hong Kong costs a lot of money, right? Like in Canada, it's free if you compare like that.
Mm-hmm.
So even just the birthing process is a lot. And then kids start school as young as 8 months here.
Mm-hmm.
There's something called playgroup, right? So
Get
parents
interviews for that.
Yeah, and then parents would want their kids to do that because if not, then they feel like their kids are missing out. They're not learning as much,
Mm-hmm.
and then they'll be behind. So it costs a lot to have children in Hong Kong.
But I feel like we're jumping directly into having kids, right? So let's take a step back. What about just
getting married?
just getting married or even having just a long-term relationship, right? So, pretty much going back to the article, seems like Daniel already struggled in first step, right? Just
even dating.
Yeah, just even dating.
He gave up. He gave up.
Yeah, it's straight like, it's like, I am love. Right, I mean,
sad they were laughing, but I mean, it's
but
not
think
to be
is
mean,
it,
but
yeah, but is it true? Like, should people not think about this if they're a fresh grad or like, I mean, because what I want to bring out is some jobs in Hong Kong, they don't pay a lot, right? Artists, they don't get paid a lot. I'm pretty sure dancer doesn't make that much compared to a banker, obviously. Unless you're very, very, famous, talented. I mean, a yoga instructor wouldn't make a lot, right? So, but then, dude, what about some of them? No, not some of them, right? Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I could be wrong, but what I'm trying to say is some jobs definitely doesn't get paid as well as other jobs, right? But what? So they should stop thinking about dating, or they should think about long-term relationship. I don't think that is the case because what I think is no matter how much you make, it will never be enough, right? It's whether you can find a partner that's willing to accept.
Yeah, because I think you can still date, right? You can still date even with I don't know, making 20K, but
Mhm.
you still find like a partner. But then, yeah, I guess when you start talking about marriage, then you have to really think about it, right?
Yeah, because like,
Yeah.
would you like move out, or would your future wife live with your parents? Like,
Yeah, that's
So
actually
yeah.
yeah,
So I
interesting
heard
question.
about this where in Hong Kong, some couples they after they marry they still live with their parents,
Hmm.
right? Some worst case scenario is the guy live with his own parents, the girl live with their own parents, right?
Yeah.
And then we obviously can go in a debate. It's like, oh, is co-living bad? Should they cohabit? I
Oh
mean
yeah, it's gonna
that's
talk
another
about that.
topic that we can talk about. But I guess yeah. Well, I mean, right off the gate, if a person doesn't make that much, right? Is that
Mm.
a
So
how big of a factor is that? Let's put it that
so
way.
I think it's kind of like I mean I don't know because you hear about stories back in the old days, right, where the wife would live with the husband's family, right?
Mm.
So they don't have to like buy a house, but they
Mm.
still have a family, still get married. And I'm sure back then they weren't making a lot of money either.
Mm.
Like today's money now is a lot compared to back then, right?
Mm.
So makes you wonder, like even back then they're still able to get married. So makes you think, how come nowadays people are so worried about making more money in order to get married, right? Maybe it's like a societal pressure that, oh, I don't want to live with my parents with my wife or something like that. I don't want to have my wife move into me and my mom and live in the same house.
Oh, that's a very good point. Because back then it seems quite normal, right?
Yeah,
It
it's
seems,
normal.
but why is it such a big thing? I mean, Erica, imagine you're dating this person, and then in future they'd be like, "Why after we married, they drink all the like I live with my parents." But is that a big
Yeah,
no
what would
no,
you yeah, what'd
Erica?
you say, Erica?
Why just me?
No, just from a local. I
Well,
mean,
we'll ask Leslie after.
yeah, but from a girl perspective, right? Like, is that a hell no or like?
Well, of course, I would prefer my own space
Right.
because, yeah, because privacy to me is a big thing. So, of course, I would prefer that. But if under like, if it is really about the money, then maybe I would consider. I don't know. I haven't
What
thought
if the
about it
guy be
before.
like, what if the guy be like, Erica, you know what? Why don't I go and live at your place with your parents?
What?
My place is small.
No. But in general, like let's go find another place and bring your family in. Like, would you feel like, oh, that's a big plus?
Mm,
Because for some girls, like,
I don't think it's a very big issue for me
okay,
because I haven't tried, but
no, obviously, we just obviously, hypothetically speaking, like if
I don't
that's the case,
foresee
would
a
that,
very big
mm,
problem for me.
Yeah, because I think you can also see the upsides too, right? I mean, not to say it's like a totally good thing, but I mean, you have your parents there to help take care of the kids too, right?
Yeah,
And I'm sure the parents would like
we
really be,
save some
yeah,
costs by living together.
yeah. I'm sure the
yeah.
parents would be really happy to, have a get grandchildren to hang out with, right?
Mhm.
But I think that's
If you
very,
can, if you can get along with the parents-in-law, then it would be fine, right?
what do you think,
Mhm.
Leslie?
I was just gonna bring that point up. Like, what if you don't get along with them?
Well, obviously we don't
And
get
that
along with
causes a
them.
whole new like issue, you know?
Yeah, but obviously we
Mm.
assume that everything is fine. It's just because of money.
Okay.
That's why you have to
Yeah.
settle with.
Yeah. Let's assume that you guys get along.
Yeah, because
a
if you
whole
don't get
Oh,
along, there's
okay.
nothing else to talk about. Right?
Yeah. 'Cause I was like, I mean, if I got along, I mean, obviously, yeah, I wouldn't prefer. I don't think any girl would prefer, staying at their husband's parents' place. They would want their own space,
Yeah.
start their own family. But like if my husband was like Daniel, for example, then I
Uh-huh.
would be like, why are you not doing anything to like, help you get further in life if you're so unhappy with where you are? Because I mean, in the article it said that what he worked for 6 years already, and he's not happy with his job. He's so tired. He doesn't want to do anything. It's like he gave up on his life, kind of.
Mm.
So
That's
like,
true.
yeah. So like, why don't you, try to figure out ways that can help you in like improve, or like maybe get a better job that probably pays more, or like things like that, or maybe study again so that you can have a higher position, something like that.
So I guess something that you want to see him kind of motivating himself to improve as well, right?
Yeah,
Doesn't seem
because
ambitious, right?
yeah, not at
But in
all.
Yeah.
but in the due course, I think it still have that moment where you have to like, oh, let's settle for something less, I guess, for example, moving in with parents, like you have safe costs, right? You have to go through that journey of saving costs, right? Before he can
Yeah.
have time to actually, bounce
Yeah.
higher in his career and earn more. And
Mhm.
Yeah, I
just-
mean, if we do start off living together with his parents, so that he has more time and saving money, so that he is working on himself
right.
to improve later on, then yes, sure, right? But like if it's gonna be the same thing long term, he's just doing it so that he
Like
doesn't have to pay for his own, like, I don't know,
So,
mortgage or whatever, then
Like
that's
20K
yeah,
for the
then
rest of his
that's yeah,
life.
exactly. Then that's where the problem occurs, right? Like
right. So
yeah.
which makes me want to ask, Leslie and John, this question is, outside of Hong Kong, right? Say in the States and Canada, right? Is it common for, say, a guy or a girl move to another person's place after marriage? Number one.
No.
And number two is, is it hard? Is it easier for people to be in a relationship and get married, even despite the fact that they don't make a lot, right? So, for example, someone who would work, as a average job, can easily just be sticking with their job for the rest of their life and still be happy, still get married. Like, is that the case? Would you say in Canada and in the States?
It's not common if after you get married you stay at either parent's place, not at all. Like a lot of my friends back home our age, they already have their own place.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mhm.
think like in terms of like their jobs, like it's quite, average. I wouldn't like compare to Hong Kong. I feel like their
Mhm.
pay isn't like exceptionally high. It's not like exceptionally low, even with tax and everything, but they're still able to make it to buy their own place.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I say in the US, there's a lot more opportunities, right? Because in Hong Kong, you're kind of stuck in Hong Kong and where everything's like really expensive. But like the US, you can move to like a lower cost of living area. So when you have like an average job, like the money goes, well, but the dollar takes you longer. I don't know what the right word to say it. Takes you farther, right? So you
Mm.
could buy a house with, I don't know, probably you could probably buy a house with like 100K USD, but there's not gonna be like LA or San Francisco or New York. It's gonna be somewhere in like the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
So and also a lot of kids that get kicked out of a house of their house when they're like 18.
18. Yeah.
So a lot of the times they'll already have their own place by the time they think about getting married or getting married.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So I think in the US is a lot easier. Just because, a lot more opportunities, like it's pretty spread out.
So I guess what you're saying is they can move to different states where the
Yeah.
living standard is much lower, right?
Yeah.
So, applying that in say Hong Kong, right? So say they move to second or third tier city in China, right? I guess would that kind of
Yeah.
helps the situation? But
I
but
guess,
this is
yeah.
the part I
Mhm.
feel like
Uh-huh. That's
people in
another
Hong
point
Kong
too. Mhm.
would not want that, right?
Yeah, that's I think that's another point. I think aside from that, it's not not only the cost, it's about like the future of where they're living there. Because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well, like the article said, like they worry about the future of Hong Kong with like the national security law. So I feel like if they worry about that in Hong Kong, like I feel like they're gonna worry more about that in China. We're gonna get blocked in China now. That I mentioned that,
No,
but
but I think that's a fair point, right? Just in general, the uncertainty, right? That's people, investing, right?
Uh-huh.
Their time and effort. And sounds like easier to be in a relationship and get married outside of Hong Kong than in Hong Kong, right?
yeah, because I'd say
Definitely
Hong
is.
Kong. Yeah, I'd say Hong Kong is like you're just stuck in San Francisco or stuck in LA. where
Mhm.
everything's like really expensive.
Expensive. Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah. Everything is expensive here.
mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Hmm. I
I
you know,
kind of
in
want to bring
general,
up
I
the
just
cohabitation thing, but I don't know. Maybe we'll save that for another episode.
because I just think, you know, even being in a relationship doesn't mean that you necessarily have to live together. Can I well, I guess unless you're thinking about marriage, obviously you have to, but to a point where you don't. Okay, so let me take a step back. I guess we're just focusing about marriage and kids, right? But what about just dating, right? So does dating itself cost a lot of money? I mean, obviously, Erica, we don't always go omakase during dating, right? I mean,
We
not we. I mean, like, you know, not everyone. That's what I meant. But Erica, in general, do you think dating costs a lot of money in Hong Kong?
I guess it depends on the spending pattern of you and your partner.
how's your
Mhm.
spending pattern?
Just no, just like I don't know. I mean, just in general, right? If you don't mind sharing, just in general, right?
Yeah, if
Like,
you don't mind.
But I mean, if money is your concern, then you can always do some like no cost activities. You can just
mhm.
walk around, go to a park, or like I don't know. You don't have to like do omakase or eat like expensive food or
You can go to Tang.
But yeah,
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
a
would
good
you,
point.
Erica, though? Go to Tatantang?
I
Erica,
love
eat cha chan with us.
Tang.
What do you
What do you
mean?
mean?
Oh, yeah, that's what hey,
You always
hey,
eat
right?
cha chan.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I know, but that's with friends though. But then if you're going on like a say second, third date, because first date, of course, we already talked about only coffee and drinks.
Well, I guess if you think you're not making a lot of money, then maybe you have to match like who you're going out with,
Mm, mm.
like to set the expectation. So if you guys are earning similar amount of money, then maybe your living style would be more similar.
Because
So
Erica, I just wanted
yeah.
on this point, right? I just want to ask you because
Mm.
we just obviously did an episode about, you know, perfect first date, right? What does it look like? But
Mm.
so and what we talked about is never on the first date should anyone ask about how much you make and, you know, where do you live, because it seems very sensitive question to ask on the first date. But I guess for you, Erica, in general, when do you think is probably the time to kind of ask these type of questions before you kind of move into the next step, or do you never ask this question until you start dating?
I actually never asked, but I guess at some point, if you are getting serious, then the guy will tell you himself.
If you what, sorry, if you are
That
getting
Serious?
like
serious,
yeah, the other person will tell you if that's his concern.
right? So
But I guess Hong Kong is a like very transparent city. So basically, you can guess how much that person is earning by like
Asking where they live.
knowing his title or the industry they work in. So you can have a rough idea already. You
because
don't necessarily have to ask that question.
Oh, interesting.
I guess you can gauge based on where they live, what their job title is. That's what Erica's. But what I also want to bring up is I do know, for example, my friends, right, who actually lives at a very nice place, say in, you know, mid levels, and they have a very senior title, but actually they also is a heavy spender, right? So they
Yeah.
literally don't have much of a saving. They do make a lot, but they also spend a lot, right? So at the end, you can kind of say, oh, they can make a lot, but they don't really have that much money to actually start a family, right? So that also happens, right? So if Erica, you never kind of ask this questions, I mean, do you, isn't that, would you say that's kind of a dangerous part that to kind of think about future, or for you, do you kind of, hey, can I check your bank account before? Yeah, obviously I'm kidding. I'm kidding, but I mean, obviously, I think you check, right? Or you would kind of gauge how much they actually have. Do you?
I mean, you have a guess of how much they're earning, and then like through the consultations and maybe the first, second, and third dates, then you might have another rough idea of how he's spending his money.
Mm,
You can know by asking questions, right?
mm.
What kind of questions would you ask?
No, you can just observe, right?
Have you experienced that
I don't
before?
know.
Like
But
when you're
I
dating some
also,
guys, you're just like saying,
Because I'm pretty sure
this
a lot of
guy."
people flash, right? It's, especially in Hong Kong where, everything kind of,
Branded.
yeah, branded. You have to, wear your Rolex. You have to, a lot of brand names,
Mm.
obviously, right? So
yeah.
you can't really tell how much a person kind of save as well.
That's true. Maybe you can ask him like something like, do you think like saving money is important to you, or I don't know. But I also heard from people that like nowadays people use the dating apps, right?
Yep.
So when people are using dating apps, they can be more direct. They can ask like very straightforward questions in the first few times they meet.
Mm.
So maybe it's easier for you to know this type of patterns.
Hmm. Do you
I
do
don't
that
know.
though?
Ask John.
That's
I
me.
never played the app, but
You never
So
played
for
the app, really?
I feel
Oh,
like
okay.
for
No.
guys, right? I think for guys we never really ask and care as much how much a girl makes,
Mhm.
right? You kind of assumes like, all right, around that, majority
Yeah,
of the.
Yeah, guys usually don't ask the girls how much they make. Usually,
Do guys care though? Like, do you guys care?
how much a girl makes?
Yeah, like the
Usually
person that
not. Usually
you're
not.
seeing.
Yeah,
So
yeah, because I guess you want to feel like the provider in a way too, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a
so
guy.
do guys think that they have to be the one to provide, to take up all the burdens
Oh, the guys have to be.
financially, or yeah,
Oh, the guys have to
Yeah.
be the one taking up the financial burden.
yeah. Do you
I'd
think
say.
so?
I'd say I'd rather be like that if I can.
What if your partner was like, "I'll be the
Heavy
breadwinner"?
spender.
I'll be the big.
No. Like, I'll
I'll
be
be
the
the bread-
breadwinner, and then you can be a stay-at-home dad.
I'd rather not.
I wish that, I'm a
I'd
family
rather not.
first, I
I mean, I like I like to have kids, but then I'd still like to work too because I
there's
don't know.
this term called 食軟飯, right? Eat soft rice means the girl is paying everything for the guy and the guy just pretty much spend whatever the girl is
don't know.
giving them.
Maybe it sounds sexist, but I'd rather not have it that way. But then, I mean, if it can't, I mean, if I
So
can't
it's
help
quite
it,
a
if they make
sexist
more.
conversation, I feel like. Do you guys feel that way? Because look, just by our whole conversation, it kind of already points out how much burden a guy have to have. Like, I mean, the things that the guy have to have as a basic requirement to kind of, talk about
It goes
family in
both
Hong
ways
Kong.
too.
And
I mean, I think girls
what
have
about
their own
girls?
girls have their own different burdens. I'd say, like for guys have the certain burdens, girls have like another type of burdens, right?
Such as?
Their time
Okay.
is ticking.
Mhm.
Time,
Yeah.
time is only ticking if you're thinking about having kids. Do you agree?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like most women want to
Yeah,
have kids.
most
Though.
women want kids, I would say.
Yeah, because say if you're like, I mean, not to say anything about like women in their 40s and 50s, if they're like still single and no family, it's a bit. I feel like they start to wonder more, like if I had a kid, like would my life be, more meaningful in a way, or like, yeah, that sounds really sexist, but
Is that
but
true?
huh?
Is that true?
I don't think so. I mean, I say even for guys, you would still feel like, man, it's like your life would have like a little bit more meaning if you had a family too, right?
That 40-year-old guy that's single.
But there are some guys that they're just like, oh, screw it, just want to be a bachelor my whole rest of my life, not have kids, not to worry about anything. But I don't know, I feel like those guys are still not mature in a way.
So apart from the clock is ticking for girls, right? I mean, that's if you don't factor in kids, it doesn't seem like a girl have to do the same as well, to have the same standard as guys in terms of how much they have to make in order to start a family. Well, in order to be in a relationship and get married, right? And we obviously talk about in Hong Kong, there's a higher living standard, right? And Erica brought up a very good point is, well, if you don't make it that much, you can actually do a lot of activity that doesn't require you to spend as much as well, right? I mean, in Hong Kong, there's a lot of options actually where you can actually have go on, cheaper dates, right? For example, say taking the ferry, going on hikes, doing doing some
like the
outdoor
ding as well.
activity. Yeah. And how does that? Why is it so much different, say in Hong
Getting
Kong, in
married?
terms of? No, I'm just talking about having a relationship in Hong Kong versus having a relationship, say, in the States or in Canada, right? I mean, they both cost money, right? If you want to do something extraordinary, go on fancy dates, but is it because Hong Kong have so much things to offer? That's why we generally expect more from a date. That's why people, like what we were saying previously, right? We really are quote unquote investing our money, right, for guys when we going on dates, right? And what about in the States and Canada, right? I mean,
Is it so different from Hong Kong?
yeah.
Do you guys feel pressured in Hong Kong, like to take a girl out
Take a girl out?
on a date? Do you really have to spend a lot?
No, I wouldn't say that. I won't say like, not in terms of like spending, not worry too much about that, but like, I mean, just if it's just like a casual date, whatever, then not too much concern. But usually if you're thinking about long-term wise, I do a bit, still a bit worry a bit, right? Because like if you long-term that you are thinking about getting married, think about like having kids, right? So you don't want to try to work on yourself to make sure you can provide for your family. I think that's the part I worry about. But say if just like dating, just like spending money, it's not so much because I don't spend that much money anyway. So, well, in terms of dates,
So I want to share this, right? So I recall when I was a fresh grad working in Hong Kong, right? I think I was only making like 13, 14K per month back then. And then
yeah,
I was back then I was with my girlfriend, we just started dating. And then I just laid out, I was like, oh, I don't, this is how much I make, right? And I think we just do things that we can afford to do, right? Or for example, if we go on, we want to go to vacation, right? So we're like, all right, let's have a saving plan to save up, and then we go on, we do something, right? So I guess it just doesn't like what Erica was saying, right? Like there's always ways to live your life according to what you make, right? Like in terms of your income, right? So why is it such a big topic in Hong Kong nowadays to talk about, oh shit, like, oh, you don't make that much, so that's why therefore you can sustain your relationship, oh therefore you can't get married. But why is this such a big topic, right? Because I recall back then I wasn't thinking about, oh shit, oh what happened.
you weren't thinking about getting married though, right? It was just dating.
But I wasn't also thinking about a short-term date. Like I wasn't thinking, oh, this is a fling. This is not a fling, right? Obviously we go on
Like
dates
long-term,
and
right?
it's like we think about long-term as well. Obviously we don't make a lot right now, but we still save and we still try to work hard. And isn't that the same anywhere else? So why particularly in Hong Kong is like, oh, everyone's like talking about housing. It's like, oh shit, I can't afford a house, and then I can't afford the days, everything. So expensive. Why is it so much to think about when you just want to talk about love? That's where I come from, right?
I think they are following the trend in Hong Kong and putting a lot of pressure on themselves because they feel like to be successful, they have to follow the same pattern.
Mhm.
And the other point I can think of maybe is that women in Hong Kong are now taking up more like senior positions. They could be earning more than guys. So maybe the guys feel pressured when the girl is making more money. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think the pressure is from themselves. Many girls usually like don't mind if the guy is earning less.
Which makes me wonder, right? Is it more of a guy thing that's kind of dragging the marriage number down? Or is it more of a girl thing where, oh, it's just not making enough, that's why let's not think about marriage? Like, yeah, just
Could be both.
Mhm, mhm.
Like I think women are generally like getting more independent. So maybe they set their standards higher too. So if they couldn't find a perfect or close to perfect guy, they choose to be single instead of jumping into a relationship easily.
Yeah,
So it
it's
could
like
be a
a
problem too.
yeah.
So I would say both sides.
Hmm.
Leslie, do you mind if a guy make less than you?
No, I wouldn't mind.
I
My
don't know,
previous one
man.
was.
Oh,
But have it
keyword
ever came
previous.
across your mind?
Previous.
As long as they are ambitious, that's
Yeah.
really important to me.
But has it ever crossed your mind like, with what you're making right now, we're not even thinking about marriage until you make X amount of dollars? Or has it ever been like, mhm.
Yeah, I mean, we would talk about it, right? Like, well, it depends on what your industry is also and what your position is. Whether, in your industry you can keep climbing up, so you can work towards your goal. Because, like, I don't know, for example, teachers, right? Like, you can't really climb up. You're
Right,
forever a teacher.
right.
Whereas, I don't know, in other industries, banking or whatever, there's different positions.
Mhm.
Does that make
But
sense?
you can still like expect a progression, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I think in the like Daniel in the article in the media industry,
Mhm.
the increment might not be that much. So maybe he's worried.
Hmm.
John, what about you? How would you feel if a girl makes more than you?
He's the manager, John.
What if you're dating a senior manager or like a CEO of a
Ooh.
company?
Oh, a C level person.
Yep. C-suite.
I'll
Would
kind
you
of
feel
wonder.
pressured?
I mean, first of all, I'll kind of wonder why they're dating me.
Wait,
in the
why
first
not?
place.
It's true love,
They
right?
love
Is it
you,
really?
John,
Yeah.
for
Really, for
you,
what?
not for your
Handsome, Len,
money.
trái mày teg later.
Bullshit, man. Bullshit. I don't know. I feel like,
Is that your concern?
huh? Concern?
Is that your concern? Why did?
Yeah, a little bit, right? It's
Really,
like,
John?
yeah, say like
His face.
attractive CEO or whatever C-level person
You
like
need to
dating
be more
me.
confident.
I don't know. It makes me wonder. It's like, am I just like a sugar baby? Is this gonna, just a boy toy? Is this what it's
They
gonna
want
be
to
like?
splurge on you, John.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know.
So you
I
actually
have to
would
think.
question them.
No, I have to think about
Wow.
it though. I have to think about it.
What if what if you
Because
what
I
if
feel
you
like
haven't what if
'cause
you
if-
don't know they make more than you until say
until you get married.
yeah. Oh shoot, what? You make that much? What?
So what the fuck?
Like, do you still want to
Yeah.
marry me?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know. Because I feel like I don't know. Because I do hear some stories about like people like I guess the woman makes more than the guy, and then the woman has the kids, and then the guy stays at home, stays with the kids, and then she goes out to work. Like I feel like she would sometimes she would feel like a little bit of resentment to the guy, right?
Because you feel like I make more than you, I'm better than you.
Yeah,
type
it's like,
of-
well, yeah, make more
type
money
of-
than you,
right.
and then like I birthed the kids, and then you are the one that like shot it inside me, but then you get to have fun with the kids. So I feel like it might build some resentment kind of in that way,
Mhm. Mhm.
because I feel like I don't know, because I feel like guys would like to. I guess they would enjoy working more. Because for me, I'd rather work. Although I like kids, I would rather work though.
Mhm.
I'm sure there are guys that wouldn't mind being
Mm-hmm.
stay-at-home dads.
Yeah.
Yeah. Goes both ways.
I guess it's just a difficult topic when you talk about money in Hong Kong, and then now you're bringing in the relationship part, and because like I was saying, right, and what Erica also mentioned is the confident part that I think people always overthink, and yeah, I mean, associating confidence with how much you make is always is it? Do you think it's a norm in Hong Kong? That's why they're kind of have this article in SCMP. I mean,
I don't know. I think it goes a bunch of countries because US, like Japan's also going the same thing too, right? Like few people getting married, few people having families. So I don't think it's just like a Hong Kong thing. I've heard it's a developing country thing. So as a country becomes more developed, they'll have fewer kids.
mhm.
Not sure
because
why exactly, but
because I just want to remind you all, like marriage itself doesn't cost a lot, right?
we're gonna talk about marriage now.
We're not gonna talk about marriage. I'm just
That's a
saying.
whole
Why
So
I get married?
another topic.
We could go on for that one.
so anyway, I just want to cap it off here by thanking Erica for joining us late night and providing your view, your valuable opinion
A
as
Hong
well.
Konger's view of
Mhm.
marriage and dating.
So that's a wrap. Thank you, Erica. We wish to have you again soon.
Thanks,
Thank
Erica.
you.
We're gonna talk about swimming next
Nice
time.
meeting you.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about swimming next time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Have a
right.
dragon
Cheers,
boating.
guys.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.